Okay, 100 days in as the dad of the amazing twins. I want to go over a few things in a quick video here. I'm just going to hit some major points, sort of a summary of the first 100 days. I'm going to have a bunch of side notes at the end, though, sort of not as important as stuff. But okay, first I'm going to go over the costs associated with it, the quantity of diapers and stuff like that, any changes over the last 100 days of their eating routine, sleep routine, the clothes changes that they've gone through, their weight changes, their development, which has been pretty interesting, and then like the good, the good stuff, like the smiles and the vocalizations and the responses. Okay, first let's start with the cost of the food. So the Similac 360 is what we're using. We go through one can. It's a 30.8 ounce can. It's about $50, give or take a couple, depending on where you buy it. We're going through one can maybe every 8 days, that first like 30 or 40 days that we were home. At this point, it may be every like 7 days on average, or maybe every 6 days on average. Also, there's an alternative, which is the Advantage brand. That's a 36 ounce can, $32. Pretty good deal. I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. So we're averaging right now about one can every maybe 6 to 8 days, depending on which one of those cans we're using. That's basically anywhere from $32 to $50 a week just on the formula for the twins. Okay, so diapers and wipes. Now, I think our first 30 or 40 days that we were home with the twins, we were changing a lot more diapers. At this point, we're averaging maybe like 7 or 8 diapers a day per baby. And say you use 2 to 3 wipes per change, that's averaging out to basically 100 diapers per week and maybe 200 plus wipes per week. Something like that. That could easily be like 300. Depends on how messy the diapers have been. Okay, but here's the catch. We haven't had to actually buy any diapers or wipes because we just made out so well on the diaper party and the baby showers. I mean, I tried to incentivize people to bring more stuff and had like a raffle thing. I'll talk about that at the end of the video. Anyway, we made out really well. We haven't had to buy any at 100 days in. It's going to be several weeks probably till the surplus starts running dry. Now their eating was 2, 5, 8, and 11 when they first came home and started. At this point, they're just eating when they wake up, and then they're eating every 4 hours until they go to bed. But their meal sizes have changed in terms of volume. When they were home the first 30 days, they were eating about 4 ounces per meal. At this point, they're eating 6 and sometimes 7 ounces per meal. Now, sometimes they're just kind of done eating at 4.5 or 5. So I hate to make too much and waste any. So we really try to target right there where they're averaging. But sometimes we'll make 5 thinking they're not going to eat as much and they're still really hungry. So we might make a couple more ounces. So the whole time there has been a little ebb and flow in how much they eat or when they eat. Sometimes they just don't want to eat as much, and that's okay. And sometimes they're really hungry and they want to pig out. They're averaging about 6 to 7 ounces per meal at this point. Okay, the clothes. So they were twins, born kind of small, 5.5 pounds. They were in preemies, maybe their first like 25 or 30 days. And then they went to newborn for maybe another 3 weeks after that. And then they started growing so fast we could get them in the 0 to 3s. At this point, they're pretty comfortably sitting in the 0 to 3s, probably for another couple weeks, maybe even more. Okay, so their weight has obviously changed over the last 100 days. When they were born, they were about 5.5 pounds. At about the 60 or 65 day time, they had a checkup and they were at almost 8 pounds at that point. And then at 90 days, they were at almost 12 pounds. So they've put on weight well. They're developing well. They've been growing really well. Okay, so that brings me to development. It was really important to me that we were really helping them work on developing their vision. So we're using a lot of colors and shapes and doing tummy time with them quite a bit. Also, we listen to music with them regularly and interact with them while listening to the music. I watched Lex Friedman's podcast with Rick Beato. They were saying some really important things, interesting things, but also I've looked at a lot of information online, including the study from Washington State University from some years back. I did a video about that weeks ago. Very interesting stuff, what happens to the mind of a baby when their parents are interacting with them listening to music. So we do that pretty regularly, and at this point the babies are really interacting with us. They have great eye contact, their eyes are tracking well, and ultimately they're starting to do all the cute stuff, maybe the best part, which is the interaction and the engagement. At this point they're doing a lot of smiling, they're doing a lot of vocalization with us. They'll make eye contact and make sounds, and we exchange sounds, and it's really pretty adorable stuff. Our boy is a little bit ahead of our girl when it comes to physical engagement, and he's just now barely starting to try to grab toys if you hold him in front of him. His arms are moving towards him. He's pretty out of control, but he's really trying, and it looks intentional, and it's getting more consistent. So I think he's at that very early point of now intentionally grabbing things. So that's exciting too. Yeah, the responses when you talk to them, look at them, they're engaging on purpose. It's pretty magical. Okay, so a couple side notes. The one thing on the Similac and the Advantage brand, that's like a substantial price difference. You're going from a almost 31 ounce can to a 36 ounce can. What is that, like 5 ounce difference? And it's actually $18 cheaper on average. Here's the thing though, I don't know why it's cheaper. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if it's a quality issue or not. But the truth is, we haven't seen any real difference with our twins and the way that they respond to either one. So I've seen people say the Similac, their babies didn't like it. The same can be said for the Advantage. So everybody has a different experience on that. I don't know. We've been fortunate, I guess, that either one works for us. The babies haven't had any differences, like spit up differences or puke or diaper, or really nothing that tells us that they have a problem with one. So that's worth mentioning. That's just been our experience with those two brands. Okay, another thing worth mentioning is diapers. These are just average, real average numbers. 2 wipes per change on average gives you a couple hundred wipes a week, but that's like 2 on average. I mean, probably a couple times a week that there's just a really bad diaper, it's gonna require like 5 or 6 wipes, So, I mean, these are just average numbers. But okay, and another side note would be the eating. So we basically just were told, if you want to let the baby sleep longer through the night, that's fine. So that's when we started skipping meals. But the rest of the day, we were still on the every 3 hour feedings. We never changed any of that other than when they slept through a meal, and eventually it went from the 2 a.m. to the 11 p.m. meal, and now they're sleeping through the night. But we haven't seen a substantial change in how much we're feeding them, partly or diapers, partly because, yeah, they're eating more per meal, but it's also less meals. So it just hasn't shifted significantly at all. And the diapers, I think they just had a lot of constantly they were just making a mess in their diaper. Like, it was just like every 45 minutes it felt like when we first brought them home. But now it's not very much. Outside of changing them when we feed them, we may only change them a couple more times that day. Okay, and then I guess another side note would be on the clothes. Like, I think in retrospect it was just fine having a lot of clothes. I think I have a couple videos on my TikTok or on the YouTube shorts, I'm not sure, but there's a couple of them somewhere where we have drawers and drawers full of clothes. We got a lot of gifts given to us, and that's perfectly fine, I think, because, man, especially with twins, they were constantly throwing up on a onesie or some outfit that they had. Except if I was going to do anything different, I would just do pretty much onesies, like little sleepers or onesies, and that's it. There's no reason for anything else, because there's cute little outfits and all that, but they're not functioning. They can't even talk, they can't move, they can't walk, they can't sit still for a photo. Save a few months. So anyway, that's the first 100 days as a new dad of the twins. There's probably a lot of stuff I forgot to talk about, but maybe I'll make another one when I remember the rest. Yeah.